In 1995, Walt Disney World opened up its most terrifying attraction ever, ExtraTERRORestrial Alien Encounter, to much controversy. There were many who loved it, and there were many who did not feel like it belonged at a Disney park. Many people did not expect such a dark and scary attraction to be in such a light and happy park as the Magic Kingdom, so Imagineering began looking for ways to replace the attraction shortly after opening it. It just so happened that the Walt Disney Animation Studios was about to make a film all about aliens.
His name is Stitch.
Oh, great! He's loose!
He's taken a police cruiser.
He took the red one.
That crazy trog is about to make us jump!
Where is he?
A place called Hawaii.
Oh. Just a little fun fact, Lilo and Stitch was actually animated at the Disney Animation Studios in Disney's Hollywood Studios, formerly Disney MGM Studios. Getting right back to it, Lilo and Stitch did very well, and it was Disney's first success in a few years. Even to this day, Stitch is heavily used in marketing and merchandise. So, Disney pounced on the opportunity to replace their very scary show with their very successful movie. In 2003, the announcement was made that Stitch would be taking over ExtraTERRORestrial Alien Encounter, and it closed 2 days later. Stitch's Great Escape did not end up being very different from Alien Encounter, seeing as how the Imagineers were given a tight budget and a tight time constraint as well. But nonetheless, 14 months after Alien Encounter closed, Stitch's Great Escape opened, to a wild opening ceremony. From a giant Stitch inflatable to wanted signs everywhere, special guest pamphlets, and even Stitch TPing Cinderella Castle, these opening ceremonies have yet to have been matched. All of this was a crazy overlay for Magic Kingdom, and the official ceremony was also a modification of the normal park day. You'd see security everywhere, and even cobra bubbles from the film up on the castle stage. The normal opening show would begin as usual until Stitch crashes it in the middle of it, and then he's arrested on stage during the show. All the cast members would then take him over to Stitch's Great Escape, where the show would perform for the very first time. Let's look into the show and see what was left from Alien Encounter, and also run through what the story was like. As you can see here, that former XS Tech metallic banner was switched out so that it would now have the logo of the Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center, which was part of the new backstory for Stitch's Great Escape. That emblem beneath it also used to say the Tomorrowland Interplanetary Convention Center, but now it also says Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center. The only real differences in the first pre-show room were that the wall decor was changed and that main sign right there was removed. The first major difference would come in the form of the first pre-show, where no longer are you at the convention center being told by XS Tech how great their products are. Instead, you are now a recruit for the Galactic Federation at their Prisoner Teleport Center in Tomorrowland. You'd now be a sort of security guard whose job is to process the information of incoming prisoners, collecting as much as possible, and then setting them offsite to their permanent cells afterward via teleportation. Chronologically, this attraction took place before the events of Lilo and Stitch, and it actually carried out the story of how the Galactic Federation discovered Stitch. Eventually, they then traced Stitch back to Jumba, who created him, and then brought Jumba in for trial, which was the first scene in Lilo and Stitch. As the first pre-show ended, guests would then head down the hall into the second one, which formerly housed Sir and Skippy, demonstrating the teleportation technology for the first time. Instead of Sir, there was a brand new robot character in the middle, which was actually Sir repurposed, so that means that it was Tom Morrow, then Mr. Johnson, then Sir, and then this character, Sergeant Z4703BK2704-90210. Oh, wow. I think I'll just call him Sarge. Sarge would introduce himself as the Prisoner Teleportation Officer, and would then introduce one of the Level 1 prisoners, Skippy, who had been caught for jaywalking between the moons of Jupiter. Of course, these two animatronics were the same ones in the Alien Encounter second pre-show, with this Skippy figure, the one before he got burnt, being moved to the left tube, and the Sarge figure being a repurposed Sir with different plating to make it look like he was wearing a blue uniform. While the pre-show continued, another officer would video call Sarge and tell him that he had captured another criminal who had done a truly terrible crime, sucking all the jelly out of the jelly donuts. Once the video call ended, the donut guy, as they called him, would be teleported in front of guests to that very same location. This figure was a slight reskinning of the burnt Skippy animatronic, placed in the right tube now. After Sarge scolded the donut guy, an emergency alert would pop up on the screen and all the alarms around the guests would start going off. Captain Gantu would appear on the screen and tell guests that there is a level 3 prisoner, not a level 1, not a level 2, but a level 3 prisoner getting sent in just a few moments. It is then here that guests learn that it is in fact Sarge's first day on the job, and he is very stressed about a level 3 prisoner. Even though Captain Gantu tells him to go, he ends up passing out and deactivating, and all the recruits, the guests, were then sent down the hall into one of the 2 theaters. Walking down the hall, guests would come across a piece of machinery that was left over from Alien Encounter that would actually have the XS-Tech logo still on it. Neither of the theaters changed very much, with just any theming relating to XS-Tech being removed, and more accents to make it look more like the Galactic Federation added. Of course, the biggest changes were 2 massive robot arm cannons like the ones in the film, installed on either side of the room. Once the show began, lights would start flashing and smoke would begin billowing up inside the tube, and in just a few moments, Stitch would then arrive. Of course, the people who worked at the Galactic Federation were very confused that this small creature was a level 3 prisoner, so they decided to give him a DNA scan by opening the tube. Stitch was the only character to have a figure custom made for this attraction. There were 2 Stitch animatronics made in total, one for each of the 2 theaters. It was very impressive, and he moved a lot with many functions, unlike any animatronics at the time. It was in fact, for a while, the most advanced animatronic ever. As the show progressed, much like in the film, Stitch would realize that the robot cannons were tracking his DNA, so he would then begin spitting at guests, making the robot cannons misfire, and eventually causing the power to go out. As soon as the power went out, the cannons also went out, and Stitch would make his great escape, jumping off the platform and running amok all throughout the theater. And there it is, that terrifying moment when you realize he's not there anymore. Of course, the Stitch figure was only lowered beneath the teleportation platform, but in order to achieve the effect of him jumping on guests and running around the theater, the lights needed to be out, so the theater, like Alien Encounter before it, plunged into complete darkness. It was during this part of the attraction that, through the harnesses that were over guests, you would feel Stitch jumping on you, through the use of little air pipes and other effects. Of course, in Alien Encounter, the maintenance worker getting eaten and also the alien exploding at the end of the show were big gross-out factors, but for Stitch, it was a little bit different. You would hear him steal a guest's chili dog, eat it, and then loudly belch in everyone's face, and then Disney would blow an artificial chili dog smell into your face. This would continue for a while, until finally the power would come back on, and then unfortunately the robot cannons would knock it out again by blasting everything willy-nilly. Finally, at the end of the show, you'd see Stitch back up in the center teleportation tube, where somehow he had reprogrammed it to send him away from here, evading capture. He ended up going to a little planet called Earth, into a place called Florida. Of course, that planet was really Earth, and that place was Florida, as Stitch would wind up at the Magic Kingdom, paying a visit to Cinderella.
Hello, Cinderella, your prince is here.
You're not my prince. Bye.
Where on earth has he gone now?
Well, looks like we've been licked, sir.
Well, day.
While this was the finale during the attraction's later days, it was not the first one that it started off with. Originally, Stitch would land in Tomorrowland on the Astro Orbiter. The only reason why I could guess that they removed this was because it didn't make sense that he teleported right outside where the exit is. Perhaps they changed it to Cinderella Castle to make more sense with that story that he didn't just teleport right on the other side of the wall. As the show concluded, guests would head down the exit hallway, which was decked with other wanted posters for mischievous aliens, into the former Merchant of Venus gift shop, which had been left very much the same as it had in the days of extraterrestrial alien encounter. Merchant of Venus also displayed these two cool murals showcasing other alien experiments on the loose. While the show was just as innovative and technologically advanced as its predecessor, it was not nearly as successful as Disney was thinking and hoping it would be. Hardcore Alien Encounter fans hated that it replaced Alien Encounter. Many thought it was cheap with its reuse of so much of Alien Encounter. Parents and adults didn't like the gross-out factors, and teens, well, it kinda lost its appeal with it being a younger audience IP, and little kids were terrified by it. So, it was really only elementary-age kids that it was successful for. On top of all this, only a few years into operation, the show started breaking down mid-performance. Many effects were also not working, and the cleanliness began to wear down as well. Ultimately, Stitch's Great Escape was just a failure. So in 2016, Disney announced that it would be entering seasonal operation, with it only being open at peak crowd level times, such as spring break, the week of Christmas, etc. Starting in 2017, in order to still utilize part of the attraction during the off-season, Disney opened Stitch's Alien Encounter character greeting, where you could meet Stitch in the very first pre-show room only. The rest of the attraction still stayed behind locked doors. Obviously, the name is a reference to Alien Encounter. Also in 2017, for one season only, Disney turned Stitch's Great Escape into a trick-or-treat trail for Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party. Only now am I just realizing that I was there that year and I did not do this. As you can see, there were plenty of pumpkins themed to Tomorrowland in general, like Buzz Lightyear and Mike Wazowski, but there were also two related to Alien Encounter. One said XS Tech in the old font, and the other one was the logo for the Tomorrowland Interplanetary Convention Center. Creepily enough, Skippy and the donut guy would just be kinda sitting there, staring at you in their tubes, not moving at all, but it was pretty cool that they made Sarge wave at all the guests as they walked by. As the Halloween season ended, Stitch's Great Escape entered into normal operation once again for the Christmas season of 2017. On January 6th, 2018, Stitch's Great Escape had its final performance ever, although guests, and possibly even Disney, did not know it. Disney had said that Stitch's Great Escape was still on its seasonal schedule and would be reopening soon. Although, as the months went by, it did not reopen, not even for Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party as a treat trail. In October of 2018, footage started surfacing online of urban explorers exploring Stitch's Great Escape. Now, disclaimer, urban exploring is breaking and entering with a fancy name to make it sound legal. It is not allowed. Those who have urban explored at Walt Disney World have since been banned for varying periods of time. Do not urban explore. The footage revealed, though, certainly made it look as though Disney was not going to reopen the attraction. Weirdly enough, the exit doors that led out into Star Traders were left wide open for people to walk into. In this video, this man even walks past a couple cast members to go explore. If all this wasn't enough, this is what became of the animatronics of Stitch's Great Escape. I think it's especially sad to see what happened to Sarge, seeing as how he started out as Tom Morrow, then Mr. Johnson, then Sir, and then Sarge, but then became Scrap. While the show was indeed gone, Disney did not actually make an official announcement that it had permanently closed. So, with Disney still keeping people in the dark as to the truth about this attraction and what would be replacing it, Stitch's Alien Encounter meet and greet continued to operate in the first pre-show room. Of course, when COVID-19 came along, all meet and greets at Walt Disney World were suspended, and when they returned, Stitch's Alien Encounter meet and greet did not return with them. It was then in 2020 that Disney had officially announced that Stitch's Great Escape had finally permanently closed. Over the next few years, Disney would take down all the signage from Stitch's Great Escape. So of course, the question was, what's next? Even from the early days of Alien Encounter, this attraction had had a troubled history. Well, around 2019, rumors started circulating that Wreck-It Ralph would take over the former attraction. Although never confirmed by Disney, it probably would have been the case if it wasn't for COVID. We even made it to the point where permits were filed for interior demolition in early 2020. Again, this never happened. So since then, the building has laid abandoned, with the only alleged use being that the first pre-show room is supposedly a cast member break room. Since the meet and greet closed, Stitch has been found greeting guests from the Tomorrowland stage and sometimes roaming throughout the land. So what exactly is left of Stitch's Great Escape? You know, in areas that guests are allowed to be. The old exit doors and the little yellow marker in front of them can still be found in Merchant of Venus, Star Traders, and just outside the Tomorrowland bathrooms and that side of the building. Merchant of Venus has since become a seating area with some great posters relating to Tomorrowland's story. You can even find a Timekeeper poster there, as I mentioned in a previous video. This sign even says that there is a new event coming soon to the Tomorrowland Interplanetary Convention Center from Alien Encounter. That's even the same logo on there. That poster advertising the Antique Rocket Show and Swoop Meet seems oddly familiar. Moving on from the Alien Encounter references that I wish I knew when I made my last video, holiday-themed photo ops will usually pop up around this area themed to Lilo and Stitch. The main two are Halloween and Christmas, but there might be more. That blue banner up in the top left portion of the screen, as well as the one on the opposite side, and the one that now hangs over the old entrance door, were all there from the days of Stitch's Great Escape, and they all bear the Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center logo. Lastly, for the building itself, this Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center emblem still adorns the corner of the building. During Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary celebration, all the parks gained golden statues called the Fab 50 Collection. Stitch's statue used to have a 50 in the middle of the gear he was chewing, but now it has a Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center logo instead. At what will soon be Disney Adventure World and Disneyland Paris, Stitch Live is a sort of Turtle Talk with Crush type show where you can interact with Stitch. In this show, the Galactic Federation Prisoner Teleport Center logo appears in the background. And although Stitch is certainly no longer an animatronic at Walt Disney World, you can still see him as one over at Tokyo Disneyland's unique Enchanted Tiki Room. I also find it funny that some of the birds are wearing Stitch ears. That's all that's left of it. But the question is now, what's going to happen next to this former attraction? Well, with Magic Kingdom's west half growing a lot over the next few years, it might be wise to open a new attraction on the opposite side of the park in Tomorrowland. This factor, as well as Disney's upcoming release of the live-action Lilo and Stitch, might remind Disney that they have a vacant building over there that they might want to use again. With the failure of Stitch's Great Escape, also the fact that the building is decomposing and all the animatronics have been scrapped, I doubt that it would be themed to Lilo and Stitch, even a live-action version. But with Pixar's Incredibles 3 just on the horizon, falling into this timeline exactly, Disney might have the ideal IP on their hands to replace Stitch's Great Escape. As a story following Jack Jack at Edna Mode's fashion facility would make so much sense with that technology, and also would help promote their upcoming movie. So I guess we should just keep our eyes open for any announcements like this or others in the near future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. I'm so glad to see that so many of you are liking my brand new content, and I also want to say welcome and thank you to all my new subscribers. If you'd like to become an Imagine Jackson subscriber, then go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'd be happy to have you. If you'd like to watch more Disney history videos like this from Imagine Jackson, I have 3 out right now, and you can watch all 3 of them by clicking the top 3 links in the description. I've got a lot, and I mean a lot, more videos like this on the way, as I intend to cover the history of almost every Walt Disney World attraction. I release new videos every weekend, and if I don't, I always try to make up for it later. On top of these types of history videos, I also like to make POVs, shorts, and other types of videos for your entertainment. In my next video, we'll be diving into the untold history of Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin and the attractions that came before it. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.